Hare Krishna, Namaste.
Chapter 13 is entitled as kṣetra-kṣetrajñayor, also as Prakriti Purusha Vibhaga Yoga, also as Prakriti Purusha Viveka Yoga. Sloka 3, Part 6. kṣetra-jñaṁ cāpi mām viddhi sarva-kṣetreṣu bhārata kṣetra-kṣetrajñayor jñānaṁ jñānaṁ mataṁ mama. O Arjuna, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. Before we continue, I would like to clarify something. In this sloka, kṣetra-jñaṁ is knower. That knower is Krishna, who is Paramatma. But in past few sessions, our focus has been on kṣetra-jñaṁ, who is the Atma, Jivatma. So the question may be, why are we doing more on Atma than Paramatma? Answer is simple. Unless we know who we are, what is Atma, its nature, its qualities, its uniqueness, we will not be able to understand Paramatma. Unless we know the value of $1, we will not be able to appreciate the value of 1 million. Again, these numbers, $1 and 1 million, are just to drive the point of importance and differences, but not to say Jivatma is just worth of $1, and not to say Paramatma is only worth of 1 million. Jivatma is certainly great, and that must be understood first. Then we can understand the greatness of Paramatma, who is the master of all the Jivatmas. And in the sequence of options that Krishna provided in the 12th chapter is to go back and do one's karma yoga, so the consciousness get purified and one will be able to realize the self, the Atma, which will be the stepping stone to start practicing bhakti yoga to understand and realize Paramatma. Therefore, it is very important to know about ourself first, about Atma. Even for us to live peacefully, happily, and see the things that's happening around us in a different view, so we don't get disturbed at any time, this subject of Atma will help us. Of course, this is all only theory. For one to realize the theory, then we apply what Krishna said in the 12th chapter. And there are things which can be easily explained through some examples, and there are things which are difficult to explain through examples. Some things are special which has to be experienced. If everything can be explained with example, then that may be also a material thing. Therefore, certain terms and topics must be repeatedly heard few times and has to be processed as well. Last session we covered the topic that Atma is eternal, which means that Atma never get created and never will get destroyed. It is not that when someone takes birth, Atma gets created at that time, and when one dies, the Atma gets destroyed. One may argue that it may be true about Atma is not being born when birth happens, but maybe the Atmas are all got created at one point of time, somewhere in the beginning. They were all got created, and later they have been going through this birth, death repeatedly. For this also we saw from various references in the scripture that it is not that at one point of time all the Atmas were created. It was never created. It has been existing all the time and will exist all the time. To make this clear, we also took this by comparing with Buddhism philosophy, which is, according to them, the Atma is momentary, kshanikam, and we disproved that philosophy with various arguments and quotations from the Vedic scriptures. The next quality that we need to learn today is the size of Atma. There are three options that we can consider for any object regarding its size. One is small or minute, another one is medium, another one is large. Let's take the medium first. It cannot be medium because when we say medium, then it would be made of many parts. Like a pot which is medium makes up of many parts. But we know Atma is not made of many parts. It is just made of jnāna. Therefore, it cannot be a medium size. Next, maybe Atma is large. But as per the Vedanta Sutra, it is said, Utkranti gati agatinam. That is, the Atma makes movement, departs, goes and returns. Also in the Vedas, it is said that Tena pradyotena esha Atma nishkramati. That Atma travels to other places, other worlds. Like this, many verses clearly says that Atma can travel from one place to the other. If Atma is large, vibhu, big, means omnipresent, then moving is not an option at all. It's not possible. I am present in my house and also in the temple. Then there is no need for me to travel from my house to the temple because I am so big. Vibhu means is pervaded, is omnipresent, is there everywhere. But we know very well that is not the case with ourselves as Atma, as we have experienced and also stated in Vedas and Vedanta Sutra that Atma travels, Atma moves. There is a direct sutra which says Swashabdha Unmanabhyam, and in the Vedas it is said Esha Anu Atma. That means it is Anu, it is minute, And that is what these two statements says, which means the Atma by nature, by Swarupa, is anumatram. Swarupam anumatram syat. It cannot be in a medium size. It cannot be vibhu, omnipresent. It is minute. And also there are schools of thought which says the size of the Atma is equal to size of the body. This is the philosophy of Jainism. The size of the Atma in an elephant is size of elephant, the entire elephant. And the size of an ant is the size of the ant's body itself. But the problem with this theory is that what will happen to the Atma of an ant when it takes birth as elephant? That Atma size of ant now has to increase to the size of an elephant. Let's take the other way around. If the Atma which is present in the elephant has to take the body of an ant, that means now it has to reduce, Atma has to reduce to the size of an ant. This is a big problem. Problem because Atma doesn't change. It's unchangeable. Therefore, this philosophy of Atma changes its size according to the body is not the right understanding, as we can see from our scriptures. So now question is, what is the size of Atma? It is not vibhu, it is not medium, it is minute. In Svetasvara Upanishad, it is said that balagra satabhagasya sata kalpitasya cha bhago jivaha sa viddhyah sa chantantyaya kalpate. That is, take a tip of a hair, cut the tip of the hair into 100 pieces and take one piece out of that and make that into another 100 parts. And that one part, whatever the size that is the size of Atma. It is just to give us the idea that Atma is very, very, very minute. That's all. We may be having a huge body. We may be a very tall person. It doesn't really matter. Whether you're tall, whether you're fat, whether you're short, whether you're thin, Atma size are same. It is minute. It is anumatra. Now this will lead us to a next question, that is, if we are anumatra, we are minute, Atma is minute, then how can that minute Atma can experience the pains and pleasure of the body, of the parts of the body? Let's understand this question very clearly. Right now, I am sitting in a closed room in my house, which has many other rooms. There are living rooms, there are kitchen, there are dining room, many other rooms. But I am constrained right now into a room which is covered by 4 walls. That means I have no awareness of what's happening in the kitchen, in the living room. In similar way, if Atma is minute and it's constrained in one place, location, then if I have a pain in my foot, how does Atma knows that? The answer is, Atma is pervaded throughout the body using its dharma-bhuta jnana, that is, the knowledge that the Atma possesses is spread throughout the body. Hence, it is able to recognize the pain and the pleasure of the parts of the body. And this knowledge is what we often refer to the consciousness that spreads throughout the body. In this way, whenever there are certain things that happens to my body, I am able to understand. Whereas in the case of me sitting in my study room, my knowledge is not extended to other rooms. My consciousness is not extended to other rooms. Therefore, I don't know what's happening over there. Similarly, I don't understand as Atma what is happening in someone else's body. Even though that person may be closely related, could be my brother, my sister, born from same parent, or could be my child who came from me, but still I will not be able to understand other person's pain and pleasure because my knowledge, my consciousness is limited to my body only. It is not extended to other bodies. Whereas Paramatma, the Supreme Lord, is omnipresent. He is present in each and every object, in each and every moving and non-moving entity. Therefore, He knows everything that's going on with that entity. Whereas in my case, I am limited to know only about my body. That too, not everything. Even within our body, there are many things we don't know what's happening. Therefore, what we are talking here is of the pains and pleasures and things like that. Here is an perfect example from Srimad Bhagavatam. There was a Muni by name Saubhari, who was a great tapasvi, who was performing his austerity under the water. At one point, when he saw there are fishes with its family, he also decided to get into family life. So he went to a close by kingdom. That king had 50 daughters. So Saubhari Muni expanded into 50 bodies and married each one of them. Now the question is, how did he do that? Did he multiply his Atma into 50? Or did he divide his Atma into 50 parts? What happened over there? We learned so far that Atma cannot be created. Therefore, the first question of maybe there were 50 or 49 Atma got created besides this Atma. That is not the right answer. Maybe the Atma was divided into 50 parts. That is also not a right answer. As we all know, the Atma cannot be cut into pieces. As we already learnt in the second chapter, Nainam chintanti shastrani, Nainam tahati pavakaha, Na chainam kledayantyopi, Na soshyanti marutaha. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burnt by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. So what happened here? Being a great Muni, great tapasvi, he had the strength, power through his austerity that he can extend his knowledge from his body to other bodies. And this is what has happened over there. Right now, conditioned souls like us, our knowledge only pervades through the body that we are present. But great munis like Saubari, by their austerity, their knowledge, dharmabhuta jnana, can be extended to other bodies. Now, one important point is when the Atma is liberated, attained moksha, that knowledge that Atma possesses is pervaded to the whole world. This is something that we need to understand. Right now, I am bound by the samsara due to my karma. Therefore, my knowledge is only extended to my body, current body. But if I finish all my karma, there's no more karma, there's no bondage to the samsara, which means that stage of Atma is called moksha, which is liberated. In that stage, the jnana, the consciousness, pervades throughout. There is no limit, there is no boundary to this knowledge of Atma. Right now, I can only see through my eyes to certain limited distance. All my senses are limited. Therefore, the knowledge that I possess can only extend so much. Whereas in the liberated state, one is not limited by these material senses, which means the consciousness, the knowledge expands without any boundary. Therefore, Atma is vyapi. It's just like a lamp being in one place pervades the whole room using its light. Likewise, Atma pervades everything using its knowledge. In our next session, we will see where this Atma located when it's in the body. And then the important question, that is Atma one or many? So, to conclude, what we have learned today is the size of Jivatma, that it is minute, it is not omnipresent, it is not Vibhu.
Namaste. Hare Krishna.